So guys, the day has finally come. After almost 10 years of absolutely trouble-free service, my lovely iMac here has developed a problem. And I have to say, if you're not up to speed, and many of you are because my videos about him have gone quite big, this is an upgraded one. We upgraded it to a Core i7 from an i3 and that's now a little problematic. We upgraded it with a 765M. The problem is, when you upgrade GPUs in these iMacs, you will have no boot screen, no boot switcher, and I know millions of people are going to tell me, there is a guide out there how to do it, but there is not really a good guide out there. The possibility, yes, there is a possibility to get a boot switcher and everything on here somehow, but I have no freaking idea how, so, yeah. Now, well, what was the problem? It froze during, I wanted to copy a file and it just froze up. I tried restarting the Finder, force quitting, nothing helped. So I did a hard shutdown, and when I went to start it again, it did this. And that's, I can't really say if it's, catastrophic or if it's just a minor thing. It might also just be a software problem. But, maybe now it healed itself. I hope it did. Yeah, no, it didn't. Yeah. This is the problem, guys. We got a cursor. And that's it. So, yeah, well, shit. The first order of business is do the obligatory PRAM reset. So let's see if that helps. So if this didn't do the trick, we got a variety of maybe sources of problems. Problem number one is it could not even be the graphics card or anything. It could just be a corrupted OS, which is not really known to happen with Mac OS X. Oh no, it's back. So yeah, it could also be just a faulty SSD. So, the SSD maybe has gone bad. Or it could be the GPU. Or it could just be a weird issue that no one has ever had before, and I have it. But I'm pretty sure it's one of these three. So, yeah, I guess let the troubleshooting begin. It really sucks. Thankfully, I've done all Time Machine backups, so no data is lost, which is good. So what like my first try that I will do is I will try to get a disk of 10.13 and try to boot it up and see if it boots, because then I can either check if the SSD is corrupted or only the operating system, or if it just has a different problem. And also if it comes if everything goes to shit, I can just put the original Radeon HD 5000 series, I don't know the exact number, back in it and see if it works, so I can rule out the GeForce, which I hope it's not the graphics card, because I paid $100 for it, and it's been working so great for the past months, like really nice performance. Didn't even get all that hot and everything. It was just working beautiful, and all of a sudden it just, this is how things go with computers, and especially with old computers that have tons of usage hours on them. It might as well also be a motherboard problem. At this point, with so many years, and I've used this, I don't know how long, very, very long, and it's rendered a lot of stuff. It could be, if it's not the GPU, it could be endless. And what's important is that the data is safe, so we can just do erase and reformat the SSD all day long and not have to worry about doing even a data recovery or something. But yeah, what we surely have to do is we have to open this guy up, which I don't want to do. I just recently did this, rebuild this, fix this, and now I have to do this. My plan is the following. I found this SSD. This will act as the test drive I will install on here High Sierra, and for that I will need a bootable USB. And just because I was so used to, I was like, yeah, let's create that on my 27-inch iMac, because I always did it. It was always reliable. But yeah, guess what? Not this time. So thankfully I still have this guy around. This is a machine that I want to sell, but in this case it comes in handy. I can create the USB and install, like hook this up via USB and install it on there, and just, you know, and then maybe today, but probably not, I will plug this in and see if it boots. So here is my macOS High Sierra installation file. It's on my server. Just have to copy that in the applications to speed things up. I guess it could take it from the server, but just to minimize problems, I'll copy it on the internal drive. And yeah, then we'll create the disk and hope that it boots. I do think it is this problem, like with either the SSD or operating system, because it shows a cursor which tells me that the GPU wants to do its job. It just can't, because operating system doesn't load the driver or whatever. So yeah, maybe that's our problem, but we will see. So I'll update you along the way. But what I'll do now, and that's nothing interesting, I will just create this USB and install High Sierra then on this drive. And when I have this done, I'll maybe make another clip. And yeah, wish me luck that this is the problem. Alright guys, we got a really great update for you. My iMac here is not ready to give up yet. That's good. As you can see, it is running with my test disk from High Sierra. Booted up just fine, first try. So that tells us, thankfully, that the computer is fully functional. GPU is functional, processor, everything. But that still leaves the question, is either the SSD bad or the installation only? We have to find that out. And that's something we're gonna investigate. I decided to remove the monitor after all, because it's easier to screw in the bracket of the hard drive. And I have it here, and plugged it into Crystal Disk Info, and it says it's in good condition, which I expected. You know, it is a pretty new SSD, and as you can see, only 413 hours on it, compared to my main SSD here, 7,000 hours. So yeah, pretty new. So it really looks like only the operating system crashed on it. So I just started copying some files. You can see there. This is my server. So I am copying here some YouTube videos, but I also need to copy some other more important stuff later. But thankfully, everything's recognized. Like, it seems like as if it had nothing wrong with it, but it just doesn't boot. So yeah, there's a lot wrong with it. But thankfully, I can still access it, that the drive is healthy and everything, and the iMac also works. So what I'll do is I'll just install High Sierra again, again externally, as I just did before with this other one here for the test drive, and restore a Time Machine backup, and then be done with it. Put it back in, hope that it boots, and be done with it. It's really nice to have another Mac around if something like that happens. I was just thinking of getting like a workshop Mac just for stuff like this. You know, stuff like this could also Linux do, but you know, installing macOS like on external drive for testing and stuff, it's always nice to have one around. So I'm kind of looking for like a 2010 a Mac Mini or something really cheap that can only get this sort of stuff done. Don't need good performance or anything. It just needs to install operating systems. So I'm looking out for that. I'm very relieved. And I'm also relieved that the last Time Machine backup was indeed yesterday, 1633, so really recent, so it's actually nothing so it is actually very recent, so I wouldn't even need to do this, but again, just to be sure. So yeah, I learned from my mistakes in the past. And fail! Yeah, it looked so promising. It could have been a happy end, but yeah, of course I had to mess something up. So let me show you what happened. Apple design happened once again, and me not being overly cautious, because I felt confident enough now that I've done this monitor in and out thing for I don't know how many times. But yeah, what you learn from working on Apple products is you always have to be, no matter how many times you did something, you always have to be careful, because it just happened that I cracked this socket for the monitor input. As you can see there, I already bent it back. It was looking way worse. It was like all bent up all the way like here, and that is because I accidentally pulled on this cable. Well, I didn't really pull on the cable, actually. The whole monitor kind of fell forward, because this is quite a heavy piece of hardware, and it fell forward, and unfortunately it took that one little socket thing along. So yeah, thankfully, well, this time I didn't damage the connectors here, because I've been there. I have damaged these connectors on that iMac, and that was an easy fix, because you only replace this cable here, which costs like $20, but at least, you know, you can do that really easily. But in my case here, that cable is fine, but not the socket. So what my plan is, I will try to solder it back on. I have gained some knowledge in soldering, but only some, and I don't consider myself a very good solderer, whatever. And as you see, I mean, from the logic, I think you could just solder on these two pieces here, like this one and this one, so it sticks all the way to the motherboard again, and then theoretically it should just work again, because there is no connection here broken or ripped or something. It is just these hook points, like these have come loose. So yeah, really annoying. I mean, it was already ready, like I had it all up and running already. It just, you know, I've here the test drive in here again, but this is already ready to go. But oh no, now this is 100% my fault. It's my fuck up, but I do blame Apple a little bit, because they just always design their products like not with repairability in mind, because they could have just made this cable a tiny bit longer and it would have been never the case that something like this happens. Or also maybe just use a stronger monitor connection, just like here. This is the power connection. Like, this is a nice connector. Something like this could never happen to that one. But this one, also being a quite important one, you know, video connection, they take this brittle little piece of aluminium piece of crap. So yeah, like here, even the argument of like the portability like is wrong, because you don't need to keep everything small or so in a big ass machine like that. It's something different maybe in like a MacBook, where everything is really cramped and tiny, because there this kind of making sockets small thing would make sense. But here, when you have tons and tons and tons of space to deal with, but yeah, oh well. This company, guys, always does what they want with you. So, however, if it happens to be that I can't fix it, or when I've done the repair, it just still doesn't display anything, I don't know what I'll do then. Like buying a motherboard for this, only for this one fucking connector, like, really, I wouldn't like doing that. Also because the motherboard is probably 150, 200 bucks or so. So, and then installing that motherboard, like installing the job of installing a motherboard in this is just atrocious. So I don't know what I'll do then, guys. I really don't know. Maybe if I can't fix it, I'll buy another one, because yeah. But still, I don't want to give up this nice hardware, 765M and Core i7. You know, sucks. Really, really sucks. Also, now I can't produce any videos because this is my video machine. Fuck. So guys, update. Probably final update for this video. And maybe even for good on the machine. What's up? Well, as you know, ripped connector, as you previously saw. And I came to the idea, you know, I'm not replacing the motherboard, like, not a chance. I was really that stupid and thought I could repair this. The problem is it's probably destroyed in the inside, so it's looking fine. I've checked out some YouTube videos. I think the YouTuber was Northbridge Fix. A pretty decent video on how to solder this, but I don't have the tools nor the skills to do this, so, well. But it turned out you could order the little piece, the little, connector, socket thing, for only like $8. I would only kind of need somebody to solder it on. Unfortunately, I can't find anyone in my area that does this. I've contacted 3 firms and 2 have told me, well, sorry, we don't do that. Well, fine, right? And one didn't even respond. Like that, I didn't think that of this company. It's not even far from where I live, and I was like, hey, I can finally give, you know, money to a local firm and support a local firm, and they're happy to help me, but they're just dicks. So yeah, it really is like this. It seemed like I've had that, kind of turning into a ramble video here, but I had that also experiences when it comes to cars. Like if you don't do it yourself, you're either getting ripped off, or nobody really cares. Like it's really hard to find honest people that to work on your stuff that you can really trust. And apparently it's the same on like repair, which is unfortunate. But since I do most of the repairs myself, well, it's not a big issue. But for most people, you know, unfortunately. So guys, I don't know what I'll do with this guy. I've also kind of found a replacement for it already. My main machine. I tried out this awesome video editing program. Where is it there? Resolve. The latest version, I really like it. It's working really nice, smooth, nice interface. And so I'm thinking of actually switching to Windows for editing video, which I never thought I'd do, but yeah, it's really looking like it. I mean, you've got a pretty decent system here with a 5700 and an old Xeon, which is performing really well, quad-core chip. So, you know, drive circles around the old i7 and the iMac, which isn't bad, of course, but still. And since it's now dead, yeah, just shit. So my only idea is to kind of either replace the motherboard or just, well, put it away for now, or maybe even sell it as broken. I don't know. The thing is, I don't have time to replace this goddamn motherboard. This is a big job. If you don't know, like, replacing a motherboard is the same as upgrading your CPU. You need to take it out and hook all these million connectors back up, and it's a really tiring process, and I don't have time or the motivation to do that. And also, I don't feel like spending $100 on this really old machine right now. Maybe I'll do it for retro purposes, because after all, this was a nice, faithful machine for me. But for now, I don't know. I'll end it here and probably put the screen back on, just that I don't have it laying around and not lose the screws for it. And maybe just put it in storage and maybe get back to it when I maybe want to repair it. I mean, the soldering guy, like, I'm not shipping this. Like I found a nice company in Germany who actually specializes in Mac repair, kind of similar to Louis Rossmann, but just for all types of Macs. And they would solder this back on. They have like this soldering job, like even on their website, for this particular iMac problem here with the ripped connector. But it's like $100 plus shipping, so I could either just ship them, get it repaired, pay for the shipping and the connector and have it fixed, or I could just get a motherboard for the same price. So you know, it's unfortunate. I wish I could just drive over to them and, you know, but no, just not possible. So annoying, really annoying, guys. Well, what can you say? Dead iMac for now. It's not completely true though. It is a perfectly functional computer. It just can't display anything, which, well, renders it pretty useless. So yeah, thanks for watching. Sorry that it's not any more interesting, but just the way it has to go. See you later. Oh, just a little add-on. I will, of course, look maybe for even more companies, firms who do these soldering jobs, and if they're not too expensive and not too far from where I am, I might just drive over there. The problem is, it's, as I said, pretty hard to find somebody who specializes in this. And yeah, what I also want to say, I might just maybe find a donor machine after all, like get like a 2010 27-inch beat up unit from like a university or school or whatever, with a broken screen and graphics card dead and missing hard drive, just a cheap piece of crap, and swap the motherboard in. It might even be more valuable, so I even have spare parts then. It might even cost less or equal to a new motherboard or replacement board. I don't think they make them new anymore. So yeah, but I'm looking, and if I get lucky, then I'll fix it. So yeah, now finally, see you later.